Hello, students. Happy day, whatever we've got in front of us right now. Hope things are good for you. Today and tomorrow, we're going to spend time on the area of a composite figures. Now, these are example of composite figures. Composite figures, you can see, are two shapes joined together. So this right here, composite figure, is a triangle and a rectangle together. This is another example of a composite figure. You've got a rectangle and a triangle together. Here we go with another one. Now this one is a combination of a couple of different rectangles. You could split it up here if you wanted to. You could split it up here if you wanted to. You could make it even into three if you wanted to. The point is, a composite figure is two or more shapes put together. These are all examples of composite shapes. Now, finding the area of a composite shape, what you do is you simply split them apart into whatever smaller or shapes they have. So in this example here, we split this into a triangle and a rectangle. And then you find the area of each one to figure out the total area. So the rectangle is easy. You do 24 times 28. So 24 times 28 is 600, actually let me write it up here. This part is 672. Should you use a calculator? Definitely yes. So the area of that part of the composite figure is 672. Now the area of this part, it's a triangle, so you have to do the base. 28 times 12 gives you 336. However, you have to cut that in half because it's a triangle. So when you cut that in half, you get 168. So this triangle is 168 square feet. This rectangle is 672 square feet. So when you add them together, you get a total of 840 square feet. Now don't worry about putting the feet squared. If you don't do that, it's all good. You should get in the habit of doing that. Remember, the little 2 means it's area, two-dimensional. If you just put 840 for now, that's fine. Let's do another example. Here's another one. So let's break this apart. Let's do this triangle first. So this triangle first, in order to do that, we've got to figure out the base, which is this part. This is 20. So that means this base is also 20. We already have the height, so we do the base times the height, and 20 times 6 is going to be 120. But it's a triangle, so we have to cut that in half to get 60. So the area of that triangle is 60. Now the area of this rectangle down here should be easier. Here's the rectangle, and we have the length times the width. 20 times 8 is 160. Use a calculator, use the shortcut. 2 times 8, which is 16. Put the 0 on there. Now we have the area of the rectangle and the area of the triangle. When you add them together, you get a total of 220. That is your total area of that composite figure. Now, here's an example. We'll do a couple different ways probably to show you how it can be done. You will want a calculator. Let's say you split this one like that. Well, we've got a rectangle right here. Now this red rectangle, we'll call it, to find the area of that, we know we have 40 here, but we don't know this little part here. Now we know the whole base here is 50, and this part 35. So to figure out this chunk right here, it's 50 minus 35. So that part right there is 15. Now we have the base and the height, or length times width, and we do 40 times 15 to get 600. So I'm doing that in the calculator. So this part of the rectangle is 600. Now we need this blue rectangle. Now the blue rectangle should be easier because we already have this part here, 35, and that part 30. And 35 times 30 is going to be 1,050. Don't use this 50 down here for the blue square. Or it's not a square actually, sorry, the blue rectangle. Use that part. Remember the 50s for the entire base across there. You need this part, 35 times 30. Now to find the total, you just add those up and you get 1,650. Now I'm going to erase this and I'm going to put the 1,650 up here. Now, there's another way you could do this too. You could split it like this. Now, if we do this blue rectangle here, should be pretty easy. We've got, don't use the 40. Use this 30 times 50, which is going to be 1,500. Now you may ask how I did that so fast. Use the shortcut. 3 times 5, 15. There's 2 zeros, so 1500. Now we got to figure out this little red part. This is the trickier part. Now we know this whole thing here is 40. This part's 30. So to figure out this little green part here, this little section, it's 40 minus 30. So that little section right there is 10. Now, let's find this orange chunk right here. Remember, this was 50, the whole thing across, and that's 35. 50 minus 35 will give you this little chunk left over, 15. Now we can figure out the area of the red rectangle up here. We have 15 times 10, which is 1,500. To find the total, you add those two up and you get, boom, same thing, 1,650 for that composite figure. I appreciate your patience here. You will not have a video tomorrow. Let's do a more complicated one. Now this one, you gotta split a number of ways. Let's split it like this. Let's start with this rectangle here. Now this rectangle, we know this is 20, but what is this distance here? Oh, look, it's over here. It's 30 there, so that's going to be 30. And 30 times 20 is 600. Let's do a blue rectangle. Let's split this over here. Do a rectangle here. I'm doing the easy ones first. Well, we know that's 20, and that's 30. Look, it's another 600. Easy. Now this green one in the middle. This one's trickier. Thankfully, they give us this distance right here, 32. We have to figure out this distance right here. Well, we know this whole thing from top to bottom is 30. Notice this chunk right here is 12. So if the whole thing is 30 and that little chunk is 12, you do 30 minus 12 to get what's left, which is going to be 18. So now to find the area of this rectangle, don't use the 72. The 72 is for the whole thing across the bottom. We need the 18 times the 32. Punch that in my calculator, and I get 576. Now to figure out the total area of this composite figure, you simply add up the totals of each little part of that composite figure. Now in a problem like this, you could also split it up like this if you want to. And do this rectangle, that rectangle, and this long, wide rectangle if you want. There are different ways you could split them up to get the right answer. So there are a few examples. At this point, I do want to do two more. Definitely. This triangle. Now you might think it's two triangles, but you can also just treat it as one wide triangle. Now remember, a triangle is the base times the height cut in half. Now we know the height, 8, but this base we don't know. Well, look here, I'll use a different color. We got 3 here and 3 here, and this chunk right here, notice here's 5, so 3 plus 5 plus 3 going to be 11. So now we have the base 11 times 8, which is 88. Cut that in half because it's a triangle, and we get 44. There's the area of the triangle. Now, the area of the rectangular part here should be easier because we've got 2 and we got 5, so that part's easy. 10. To figure out the total area, add them together, 54. There is the area of that entire composite figure. One last one. This one might look kind of tricky, but it's not really. Look, you got 2 parallelograms. Here's a parallelogram. And they give you the height. Ooh, be careful, you don't need that 10. But what's the base on this? Well, notice this right here is 24, which means this right here is going to be 24, which means this right here is going to be 24. And 24 times 8. I punch it in the calculator and I get 192. Just got a text from my kid. Now the top part is switch colors to blue parallelogram because the opposite sides are parallel. Now remember, we already know that's 24. Now, do we need 9 or 15? Remember, for a parallelogram, you need the perpendicular straight up and down height, not that. So you do 24 times 9, and you get, so 24 times 9, base times the height, 216. To figure out the total area of this composite figure, 216 plus 192, and you get 408. Remember, a calculator is going to be a very good friend of yours on this assignment. We will be spending a couple days on this and doing enough practice so you feel okay about it. So good luck. No video tomorrow. Talk to you soon.